Christmas greetings, Helldivers. I am Diabolical Kanalga, and like many of you, I was very excited for the Halo ODST Warbond to come out, and I quite liked everything in it, but I have some observations and some complaints, or a request for the developers. So, what I'm gonna do is a little bit of testing, and kind of get my thoughts out there in film format to kind of go over how I'm feeling, what I think of it, what I'd like to see change, that sort of thing. So, with the ODST Warbond, we received two weapons which are the first suppressed weapons in the game. We got the M7S SMG, just light RP and one-handed, suppress it. Oh, not suppress it, suppressed. And the M6C Sorcon pistol, which is light RK and one-handed suppressed. So, hopping into the armory, looking at the stats. For the M7S, it has a very similar stat spread to the Stahl and to the Knight. Between the Knight and the M7S, the Knight has higher capacity and higher fire rate, but loses out on suppressed. Also, the Knight can be modified. The Stahl has higher recoil and higher fire rate. It also cannot be edited, but it has, well, a higher fire rate, so it has higher damage output. I am first going to be testing the Knight for its noise radius. For the secondary, the SOCOM has a Dojo 100, which is higher than the Peacemaker and the Warrant. The Peacemaker has 15 rounds of ammo. This loses 3 but gains 15 damage, which doesn't achieve any actual breakpoints. They are otherwise identical, but the SOCOM is purportedly suppressed. I bring in the second part because if there was a non-special secondary that would be allowed while still being a ballistics and not a shotgun, it'd be the Senator that I think of. So, I believe that the suppressed weapons do nothing. I'm gonna test that. And I'm gonna test some other things in particular. I'm just going to drop on a difficulty 1 bot mission. Specifically one with the Terminate Illegal Broadcast. This is because it will be lightly guarded with automaton troopers, and will have a very easy way to just get a line of sight, get a distance, and then test the audio for it. So, tagging that sucker. 40 meters. I think he is the closest. So 40 meters. It doesn't give a fuck. Senator. No fucks given. I will advance to 35 meters. Actually, let's do 36. You got no shite. Nothing. 35 meters? Nothing. So, 34 meters? He turns. So, the Knight can be heard at 35 meters and west. Now, let me get to where I can test the Senator as well. I'll have to climb up on this fucking rock to do it, but... So, 30... 35. So 35 meters, he will notice. So, the knight on the senator, both will alert enemies within 35 meters when fired. Hold your position. Ooh, we've actually got a lad who is nicely isolated. So, we'll test at 40 meters. Didn't hear a thing. Didn't hear a fucking thing. 36 meters. You heard it. So let me just confirm that. 36 meters, solidly. He did not hear it. So, I was probably towing the line. That was probably actually 35 meters. Far away are they? 40 meters? Nope, they didn't hear that. At 36 meters, neither did he. I slink to 35. He did hear it. So, for the stall and the verdict, he will hear me at 35 meters. And while I'm in Scout Harbor and have such a nice testing opportunity,
cancel that.
I want to see when he will turn when I walk up towards him. In a Scout Harbor, walk in, he notices me at...
Never mind.
About 15. About 13. About 10 meters. I got the warning ping from him because I'm within his vision cone, but for Sheeran only, should be right around 9 or 10 meters. Yep. So, you can get within 10 meters of them, as long as you're not in their line of sight, in even the Scout armor. You can sprint from not quite as close, so it's like 12 meters. Let me sneak over into the bushes so I can actually test that proper. Come on, turn back around, you bastard. "15 meters for his detection of me fucking sprinting. So, bear that in mind. 10 meters and 15 meters for walking and sprinting, respectively. Alright, so, I want the M7S, the SOCOM, and it is medium armored. The A9 Helljunter. Alright, so, testing all of this in one go.
Our city.
Here we go. Alright, so 45 meters. I will fast to 40 meters. No response. No response. 36 meters is the next breakpoint. No response. No response. $35 meters. No response. No response. That patrol coming to me? No. 34 meters. No response yet. 32 meters. Got a response there. So, it seems like 33 meters is the range that it is quieted to. Let me check for the pistol. No response. 32. No response yet. 31. 31 meters there. So, looks like that the 31 to 32 meter range is when it will react to audio cues from firing the guns. I would like to get out of the feckin' water so I can actually test better. So, Vulcan to approach.
Cancel that.
I'd like to get behind him if I can. I'll have to test on the other one then. On my two lads. I'll test on this fecker right here. $10 meter, 8 meters, 6, 5, 4. $5 meters. So, you can get within 5 meters. As opposed to the 10 for a scout. Well, more like 9. 9 meters for scout, 5 meters for this. So, he gets an extra 4 meters. Spreading around.
Never mind.
You can get to 9 meters. So, it takes it from, 15-ish to 9. I think the biggest argument for scout armor over the ODST armor is tied up in the opportunity cost of it.
Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Because for the ODST armor, you're giving up the 30% visual detection range reduction and the scout radar pings, which is very helpful. And honestly, it's probably more helpful than the increased point of interest radius, because on higher difficulties you can just look at the minimap, see what looks like might be a structure or a point of interest, and ping it, and see if there are enemies there. If so, it's a point of interest. If not, oh well. For the point of interest especially, it's because it's percentage based, which most point of interests have about a 10 meter discovery radius. where it will stop on your map. Which 10 meters increased by 30% is 13 meters, so you get a whole 3 meters of greater discovery. So unless you're somehow going to walk past it and miss it, I don't think that'll be impactful most of the time. And by comparison, markers that you place on the map with the scout radar will ping radar, the same as the radar that is centered on your Helldiver. And you can do that from anywhere to find the way out of enemies and infiltrate better and more effectively. But, you know. Talbot, the West Howen is, in my opinion, the best secondary for stealth outside of, like, the grenade pistol for objectives. I'm going to test the Deadeye because that is my personal preference on maximum rifle. I like the diligent scouter sniper as well, but the Deadeye has been my baby since it came out. But let me go to 36. Not the 34. It does hear me at 35 meters. Alright. So, 35 meters, same as the other secondaries. I'll back up to 40. Meter. 40 meter got his attention. I can't see shite because of the fucking plots. Stop that. What, to slink backwards to 45 meters? What if 5 meters he does hear me? Obviously, I'll normally be shooting from outside that range anyways if I'm picking off guards. 56. Not yet. 54. Nothing. 49. So, 50 meters for the Deadeye. The SOCOM handles nicely. It feels nice. It looks good. It sounds good.
Pelican 1, preparing for touchdown.
But it's not quiet enough to justify, and it's lacking in damage for one very specific breakpoint that is absolutely critical to talk about. Because bots are the faction that people started going stealth against. From, you know, way back in the early days of the game, in the days of yore, when the rockets would multi-hit you to delete you instantly, and you were permanently ragdolled in open engagements, and all that sort of shite, back there like the OG Malevolent Creek days. And that breakpoint that is so fucking critical is the breakpoint to one-shot Devastators to the head. Because the Devastator head is unarmored. It has 110 health points. The SOCOM pistol does exactly 100 damage. And because weapons in this game do have bullet drag and damage fall off, is there a ballistics weapon, my dear? With a few exceptions.
That was what I call a profitable use
Well,
of resources.
one exception, that being the Dominator. But SOCOM has 100 damage. Which means it suffers from the same thing the Verdict did on release, which is that it can't one-tap Devastator heads. And just buffing it up to 110 would technically make it hit the breakpoint, except for the fact that there is damage fall-off at range. bullet drag. So you would need to make it probably 116, maybe 120, for it to effectively pop Devastator heads at any distance. And given how little the suppressed trait does for them, if you wanted to pop heads at that distance, it would simply have to be like 115, 120 damage to offset the fall off and let you use the stealth to its advantage. So, my thoughts on things that I'd like to see happen. For the ODST armors, I would like them to see the A9 Helljumper. I would like them to see I would like to see them shift its stats to the heavy medium armor profile and the A35 recon to the light medium profile. Because there are medium armors that break the mold, unless I'm mistaken. There we go. Oh wait, no, what? The unflinching passive, giving it extra on. Okay, so, never mind. I was mistaken, there is not medium heavy. They have it classified as light, but it's like the heavier version of light, like the Infiltrator armor. Where is it? Here we go. So, the Scout armor, the whitest craft, which is the more standard, has 50 armor, 550 speed, 125 stamina regen. The Infiltrator is a bit heavier, has 70 armor rating, 530 speed, and 115 stamina regen. And the Demolition Specialist also is a breakpoint that is actually between these two. Likewise, on the heavy armor side of things, most of them are 150, with 450 for the speed and 50 stamina regen. Somewhere in here, there's... well, that's just extra padding. May not have bought it, maybe in the superstore. But there's a heavy armor that is on the lighter side, relatively. So I'd like to see them shift, the A9 Helljumper into the hardier side, and the A35 Recon to the lighter side. That way they are different, and not just cosmetic swaps. For the M7S SMG, really all I want is for them to make the suppressor work effectively. If they made the effectiveness of the suppressor cut the noise profile down to 15 meters or 20 meters. I'd argue for 15, but I'd accept 20. I say that would make it an actual viable option for stealth gameplay where you can use it in fairly close quarters, and I'd accept it. That would offset the lower fire rate, so technically lower DPS, it versus the Stall and the Knight, which are its direct competition pretty much. I'd handle the Pummeler, but the Pummeler's got an even lower fire rate and it's got more stagger, so I don't really count it here. But between these three, if they made it so the N7S is quite enough to be used within the 15 to 20 meter range, without alerting enemies within that radius around you, I'd call that good. I'd call that fair. I'd say, alright, this is your stealth gameplay SMG. The the M6C SOCOM pistol needs a little bit more love. It should have at least 115 damage, and I think it would need to be suppressed to the 5 meters is probably too much, so probably 10 meters. 10 meter noise radius, or maybe 7? 7 meters I think would be okay. 5 meters it'd be a little bit silly, because at that point you're almost in melee range. But that would line up with the ODST armor's feet first. because you can walk up to it in 5 meters, so you can walk through a base, avoiding line of sight, slip up to 5 meters, and then pop them in the dome. Or if you're using the scout armor, you can position yourself a bit more aggressively to like aim for devastator heads. Or you could use the ODST armor to slip up alongside them at a bit farther range, and still not get noticed, but like a little bit of an angle from the side on their head. But again, it is altered 15 damage, and this person needs to actually function in a useful capacity. For the armor, I really think that the only things... No, fuck it. I think the point of interest identification range would need to be tuned up to 100. That'd take it from a 10 meter radius on most points of interest to a 20 meter radius. That could actually be useful. That's like, 2 of the tiny squares on the minimap. It still wouldn't be the most useful, but it would be better than this. That, or change it to it increases your personal radar radius by 30% instead of point of interest. So that your,
Killing those squids, Helldiver.
radar pings for enemies around yourself is longer. The same as the... fucking nuclear radar that increases your minimap and routine radius by 50%. Let the siege first, instead of it being a point of interest thing, make it do the same thing, but 30%. Because that would stack, it would stack with the booster for the UAV recon booster. His percentage I don't remember because no one ever uses it. But, it's... So swap the point of interest to enemy radar. Immediate leg injuries is fine, it fits. 50% less noise while moving. As long as you avoid line of sight, that's good. And if it increased your enemy radar radius, that would make it easier to know where enemies are before you get to them. And you can, play it slow, figure out exactly where they are, identify their line of sight, and then slip around behind them and all that sort of shit. And then, like I mentioned, adjust this one's armor up, speed and stamina down, this one's armor down, speed and stamina up. Just like a half step. Give it, I'll leave them both as medium, but just fucking, how much does this profit by? Goes up by 20, that goes down by 20 and 20. And goes up by 20, down by 20 and 10. So, this would go to 120 and then down to 480 and 90. And this would go down to 80 with 520 and 110. Just to differentiate between the two beyond just, this is the heavy version, this is the light version. They're the same. They'd both still be medium-ish armors, but now they would be functionally different, or whether you want to be the more shock troopery version with slightly heavier armor, then take a little bit less chip damage, or the slightly faster, slightly sneakier version that's a bit more mobile, at the cost of a little bit of survivability. Those are the changes I'd make.